Hey y'all, welcome back to Kentucky Comic Quest. As usual, this is Doug, your personal guide on our little comic book hunting expedition through the Bluegrass. Now this is part 2 on my trip down Bluegrass Parkway towards Elizabethtown, for all of you non-Kentucky speakers out there. But it's E-Town to us. Part 1, I stopped at the Bardstown Peddlers Mall. Bardstown is a little town about halfway down Bluegrass Parkway on the way to E-Town. So I stopped there first, had a pretty successful hunt, had some pretty good finds. If you haven't watched part 1 yet, I will link to it at the end of this video. So after you watch this, go and check it out. But yeah, shout out to booth 176 in Bardstown. Found some pretty good stuff at his booth. Now, the girl that checked me out in Bardstown, she believes that the same vendor is the sole comic book vendor up here in E-Town, which, you know, ain't necessarily a bad thing. You know, I found some, you know, this guy's in Bardstown, his prices were kind of all over the place, but found some pretty good books. So it's not a bad thing if it's the same guy or gal, I don't know. But we're about 20 miles out, so sit tight. I'll be there before too long. We'll get there and go in there and see what we can find. Okay, she was not kidding. Girl up front told me, I asked her to direct me to the comics. She said, we got quite a few. Which one do you want? Do you want the big ones, small ones, all of them? I said, just kind of point me to some of the bigger ones. This is the first one she directed me to, and apparently there are like 3 or 4 more. Yeah, this might be a 3-part video, y'all, and I might have to come back a second day. I guess we'll just start at the beginning and see where we can get to by close. And here is the second one she directed me to. Guys, I just don't know where to begin. This is definitely going to be a multi-day trip. Love it, man. That's not a bad problem to have. Okay, so it is the next day. By the time I got out of there, it was 8 o'clock. It was already starting to get pretty dark. I was exhausted. I was very just kind of disappointed and disillusioned and just not in a great mood. I still had to drive to Lexington. So it's the day after. I'll cut right to the chase. You know, long story short, it was an extremely disappointing trip. This is the second time I'm shooting this portion of the video. The first one that I just did turned into this big long rant, so I'm not going to do that to you guys, so I'm redoing this. So what I will say is that I don't see myself going back to the E-Town Peddlers Mall. I'll definitely go back to the Bardstown location, like I mentioned in the first part of this video, or part 1, I'm sorry, where I talk about the Bardstown location. Definitely go back there. Will not be coming back to the E-Town location. Just the sheer volume of books that they had to look through. You guys saw the 2 clips from the 2 different booths that I just showed you. And there were other booths throughout that place, and it was a massive peddler's mall. They had other vendors that had, you know, short stacks of books and, you know, maybe, you know, 2 or 3 short boxes of books kind of mixed in with their vinyl and whatever else they were selling. Just the sheer volume of books to choose from, to not have anything to really get excited about, to not come up with any like good finds, you know, no must-haves, no strong maybes, or I mean, it was just, you know, I ended up with this huge stack of books to try to price right before close, And it was, none of them were, they were just kind of like just books to buy, just to buy, kind of to just justify the trip, to justify me taking the time to drive up there and spending so much time in there trying to find some decent books. So just overall, just a highly disappointing trip. And I feel like I have to let you guys know that. Okay, that's part of why I'm doing this channel. I feel like I'm a tour guide through Kentucky, you know, showing you the different spots in Kentucky where you can go and find some good books. So I'm going to talk up and really promote the great spots, the great stores that are where you're going to find some good stuff. But I also feel obligated to tell you where not to go. Okay, that's part of it too. So, you know, overall, just a disappointing hunt, but that's part of it, right? I mean, you know how the game works. That's just part of it. I've had some really good finds recently, some really good hunts, but this wasn't one of them. So, again, not trying to turn this into a whole big 30-minute tirade. So let's just get to the books that I found. Again, nothing that I'm super excited about. You know, some of them were cover buys. There's one that I have a personal interest in that was my favorite find of the day, but all the rest were just, like I said, really, it was just like just buying them to buy them. You know, I will say this, you know, I ended up spending $20 there, and hindsight's 20/20, I know, but I wish I had spent that $20 at the Bardstown location, where that guy, booth 176, had some great books, some great Bronze Age stuff, in great condition, and he was selling a bunch of books for $5 that, you know, some maxed out at $12, a $12 9.4 value. Some were a little bit more, and I passed on those. I found some great books there, and I bought some great books there, but I didn't buy. I put a lot back because I was trying to save some cash for the E-Town location, and now looking back, I wished I had spent that $20 on some of those $5 books that I ended up putting back. But hey, that, you know, it is what it is. Like I said, that's just part of the game. So here we go. So okay, this one is actually kind of cool, I have to admit. You got Jack Burton and Snake Plissken together on an adventure, Big Trouble in Little China, and Escape from New York. I think it's kind of weird they just have the titles of the movies. They don't have like Big Trouble in Little China meets Escape from New York, or Big Trouble in Little China versus Escape from New York. It's just the two titles of the two movies. But it's pretty cool. You know, you got a Kurt Russell double feature. I'm a huge fan of a huge fan of Big Trouble in Little China, not so much Escape from New York. I know that might not be a popular opinion, but I really just think it's not a very good movie. I know it holds a lot of nostalgic, you know, feels for a lot of people, but I just went back and watched it again just last year. It's rough, man. It's hard to get through. Big Trouble in Little China, however, still a fantastic movie. Always has been, always will be. Love it. So for $1.50, I went ahead and picked this one up. Kind of cool. It's one of issue 1 of 2, little I'm sorry, no, it's 1 of 6, so 6-part mini there. The next two are strictly cover buys. If you guys have watched any of my other videos, you know I'm a huge Alex Ross fan. He's my GOAT. So I picked up Lone Ranger #1 from Dynamite for $2. Pretty cool cover. And then one I've never heard of, also from Dynamite, a book called, I'm trying to get that, there you go, get the reflection off of the plastic there. Another book called Masks, which I've never heard of, and it features some of the different old like pulp characters that Dynamite has brought back over the years. You have the Shadow, Green Hornet, and Kato, Zorro, I'm not sure who this guy is. I think he's maybe called the Spider or Tarantula, something like that. But they're all, pulp comic heroes that Dynamite has brought back to life. So that was a pretty cool cover. Alex Ross, $2. Now this is the one I was talking about. This was the personal find for me. This is the one I actually wanted. I didn't just begrudgingly buy just to buy something. This is Hero Bear and the Kid, special number 1. Got it for $2. And this vendor, booth 226, all of his books, I believe, were $2. So that was kind of cool. That's one of the only cool things. Just that consistency, that consistent $2 price tag on everything. Hero Bear and the Kid. This is a title. I picked up the first, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 issues of this way back in the day. This was back, I don't know, probably like 2005, somewhere in there. Saw it on the shelf at my local comic book shop. I believe at the time it was A+ Comics over on Southland Drive. Shout out to Russ and everybody over at A+ Comics. But I saw this on the shelf, and the cover art just jumped out to me. It's very indicative of Calvin and Hobbes, that style of comic strip art, and it was just super cool. And I really like the story. I love the interior art. It's the same as the cover. The creator's name, writer and artist. Shoot, I was hoping. Yeah, I'd have to look that up. I can't remember. But basically, the story is a kid, I think, if I remember correctly, moves in with his grandfather. He inherits this stuffed polar bear. And he also inherits, I think, his grandfather's watch or an amulet or something like that is magic, and it brings the stuffed polar bear to life. That's Hero Bear. Wears a red cape. They go on all kinds of adventures. It's very kid-friendly. So, very cool. And one of the greatest things about these books, on the back, and these are the actual main issues. On the back cover, they have this quote that's on every issue, and I'm paraphrasing, but basically it's saying, if you had a magical childhood, if you enjoyed your childhood, pass it on to your kids. Pass on that magic, that sense of wonder, and adventure. So that always kind of got me in the feels. So I like that very much. So this was a cool find. Hero Bear and the Kid. I'm sorry, Mike. Name is right there above the title. Mike Kunkel. So he's the creator. So shout out to Mike Kunkel, dude. Love this book, man. Very creative, very cool, and I like the message you're sending with this book. Hero Bear and the Kid, special number 1, $2. That is my definitely my favorite pick of the day. This one, never picked this up when it came out, so I felt like I should pick it up, especially for $2. You have Frank Miller's RoboCop, number 1. Just cool Frank Miller artwork. It's in very good shape for $2. Felt like I should own it. Then the next 2 are just kind of card stock. They're not trades, but they're each book 1 of a 3-book story. So they're kind of the card stock, extra thick issues. First one from the Kuberts, Adam Strange, book 1. I love that retro, original Adam Strange design. I'm a sucker for anything retro sci-fi, old Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, things like that, Rocketeer. And so that version of Adam Strange, big fan. So for $2, art by Andy coloring, I believe, by Adam Kubert. So yeah, for $2, pretty cool. Next one up, this was just kind of a nostalgia buy for me. I used to watch the reruns of this show when I was a kid. Back in the day when there were only 3 channels and the internet didn't exist and nothing to stream or anything else. So I ended up watching a lot of reruns on daytime TV, and this was one of them. The show is called The Avengers. Not those Avengers, these Avengers. Basically British secret agents called the Avengers. You have Steed, I believe it was John Steed, and Emma Peel. So this is called Steed and Mrs Peel. Just kind of a cool 60s secret agent spy vibe. Steed always carried around an umbrella sword, which I thought was super cool when I was a kid, still do. Emma Peel was sexy as all get out in her leather cat suits. So just kind of a cool 60s nostalgia vibe book. Steed and Mrs Peel, #1. Again, it's book 1 of a three book storyline. $2. And then, man, this vendor, one of the biggest issues was just the types of books this guy had. I mean, it was just boxes and boxes and boxes, just an ocean of boxes. You guys saw in that clip. And so many of them were just like early to mid 90s, like Valiant and Image and stuff like that. And there was one box just all Bloodshot. There were probably 6 or 7 copies of this book, Bloodshot #1. I never bought it back in the day, so I figured why not. I bought it for $2. I think it's a $6 book at a 9.4. But anyway, yay! I own it now, which is my feeling for a lot of these books. Not really excited about too many of them. Next one, Thing #1 by Dan Slott. I bought this book just because I was kind of getting tired of in all these boxes I'm going through at all these different stores. I keep seeing like issue 2, 3, 4, and I've never come across issue 1. Finally did, so I figured I had to pick it up. $2 buy. Dan Slott's The Thing #1. Actually, pretty cool cover. Like the artwork. So that's that. Yay! I own it now. And then this one. This again, just another kind of nostalgic buy. TV show that I used to watch when I was a kid. The original Battlestar Galactica. Starbuck on the front. Just kind of just a nostalgic buy. $2. I was really having a hard time finding the price for this. My online price guide, I wasn't getting a very good signal inside the Peddlers Mall, and I couldn't find this cover. I was confused by the old price tag marked at $5. Wasn't really paying attention for some reason to the vendor's $2 price tag. So I was and there were like 6 or 7, well, probably like 5 or 6 copies of this. So I was thinking, oh, maybe it's a variant, maybe it's worth a little money. It's not whatsoever. It's worth the $3 that it was originally, the original cover price of $3. I got it for $2. So again, yay! I own this now. But it's cool. It's a cool nostalgic, throwback cover to the original series. So is what it is. Overall, like I said, guys, I spent $20 there. I wish I had spent that $20 at the Bardstown Peddlers Mall instead, but can't go back in time, so it is what it is. So guys, there you go. Again, just overall a disappointing trip, but they can't all be 5-star trips. You know what I mean? You can't always have these 5-star discoveries. So you know how it works. That's just part of the game. That's how it is. But thanks for watching. Please come back again and again, because I'm going to keep doing this again and again. If you haven't already, please show some love and support for me. Subscribe and like below. Hit the notification bell so you know when I drop the next video, and I'm going to be dropping videos all the time. And guys, happy hunting out there. Stay safe. See you next time. Peace.